Beyond the Mic with Sean Dillon.
We're joined on a Starline by an acting legend. You've seen him in Yellowstone, Lonesome, Dove, Northern Exposure, among many other roles. We welcome Barry Corbin.
Well, thank you. How are you doing?
Absolutely great. Barry, let's go beyond the mic. An Evening with Barry Corbin is a celebration of your life. As you look back on your career during this presentation, why did these moments stand out to you?
Well, there's so many I couldn't possibly just pick one. Actually, this is sort of a stream of consciousness deal. I get up there and I start talking, and then I start noticing people, and it just flows. So it's never the same show. It always starts the same, but it's never the same once we get past the first. And the first half is me talking about growing up in West Texas and sandstorms and all kinds of fun things, and horned toads when they were there. There are not many there anymore. And going up to KLLL and looking through the plate glass window at Don Bowman and Waylon Jennings and those guys when they were announcing. And just everything, you know. And then the second half, we take an intermission, and the second half we'll have a question and answer session. That's when we get into the movies and television, and we'll talk about all that.
Coming to West Texas has to be special to you. Born in Lamesa, graduated from Monterey High School, and you went to Texas Tech for theater arts. How has the city changed and evolved in your mind?
Well, when I moved there, we lived on 33rd Street. 34th, I think, was about the furthest south that was paved. South of that was all cotton fields. And this was about 1948, I guess, 47, 48. In the early 1950s, we moved to 47th Street. And at that time, 50th Street was not paved. And within a year or two, that was paved, and then it started growing out and out and out, and now it's nearly to Tahoka. So that's how it's changed. The strip used to be a kind of a little trip out there, you know, out in the country. Now it's right in town.
Exactly.
So it's a changed deal. I get lost there now.
When I moved, there was only one place to get liquor. It looked like a small version of Las Vegas. Everyone called it the Strip.
Oh, yeah.
But since Lubbock legalized package sales inside the city, those times are over.
Well, I remember my mother said, if they start selling beer in the grocery stores, I'm going to quit going shopping. Well, unfortunately, in most respects, but in that respect, she passed away some years ago, and so she doesn't have to witness that. She was pretty staunch Baptist, and she didn't think that we ought to sell liquor anywhere closer than Amarillo or Big Spring.
You've acted on stage, in movies, and television. Where did you find your happiness as an actor?
Just the storytelling part of it. That's what I am. I'm a storyteller. I don't know that I'm really an actor. I'm a storyteller.
You are everywhere from Tulsa King to Yellowstone, Better Call Saul. What does it say when all these hit shows want you to make an appearance?
Well, that makes me happy. I hope it makes them happy. It seems to. They seem to enjoy it.
You volunteered your time for charities, especially for the National Alopecia Foundation. Why is helping young men and women who suffer from alopecia important to you?
Well, I didn't even know what alopecia was until I got it. My hair started falling out in clumps. I started looking like a mangy possum, so people kept asking my manager and my daughter and different people if I was having chemotherapy. And my job started getting sparse, and so I thought, well, I got to do something about this. And my doctor told me I had alopecia. And So I looked it up, and I realized that it's not confined to middle-aged to elderly men. It's a lot of people, and a lot of young girls have it, and their eyebrows and eyelashes go away, and their hair goes away, and it's very difficult for them. For me, it wasn't that difficult. I don't have to look at it. I mean, except when I shave or something. But it's for young people, it's their hair is kind of I don't know, it's kind of an identifying quality. If they don't have their hair, they start to worry.
He is Barry Corbin, and he joins us beyond the mic. And Barry, it's time for the Rocky Natives. All it is 8 random questions. Answer with the first thing that comes to your mind. There is no pressure.
All right.
Your calendar is filled with benefit after benefit after benefit. Why is giving back so important for you?
Well, I owe a debt to society. I'm not working for the guys in Hollywood. I'm working for the people that either pay their admission or tune into my things. And if people stop asking me for my autograph, then it's only a matter of time till the people in Hollywood just forget about me. They don't really care too much about me. The people that care about me are my people,
Amen to that.
I'll tell you what, it's a pleasure to come back to Lubbock once in a while, because I read a quote from Will Rogers this morning. He said, you can act and do stunts and speak all over the world, but there's nothing like hearing the hometown applause.
Nothing.
And I think that's that's pretty profound, I think.
Why is being known as a cowboy important for you?
Well, that's my heritage. As Americans, and all Americans, I think, it's our image in the world. The cowboy has become our Knights of the Round Table, and our Greek mythology, Achilles, Hector, all the great warriors, the Norse mythology. We're not old enough to have a big mythology, so we have to depend on John Wayne and Wild Bill Elliott for our mythology. That's how that's how the cowboy became popular. By the way, it's not. At one time, that it was an insult to be called a cowboy. Back in the days of Tombstone and the gunfight at the OK Corral, cowboys were looked down on.
Barry, do you hold grudges, or have you forgiven everyone?
Well, I don't have anything to give anybody for. Nobody's ever done anything bad to me that I know. I've had some disputes in my time, but I've forgotten about them. I hope the people I had the disputes with have.
What's the best tip your mom and dad gave you?
Always tell the truth as you know it. Now, the truth varies, the truth is not absolute. The truth varies between individuals. But the truth as you know it is very important. Davy Crockett's motto was, I always admired this. He says, make sure you're right, then go ahead. And I agree with that.
Do you prefer sunrises or sunsets?
I love them both. If it's a sunrise, I'm getting usually because I've been up all night, or I've got a job where I've got to be on the set early in the morning. Sunsets I love because I've been awake for several hours and I can sit and really enjoy it.
Which role was your favorite to perform?
Gosh, there's so many that. One of the most fun roles I had was, I guess, in Lonesome Dove, because I loved the book so much. And I think War Games was a high point for me. Urban Cowboy, because it was my first big feature movie. And then just the friendships and things around. I liked. I enjoyed No Country for Old Men, even though it was just one day's work. You know, you got to be out in a pretty bleak place that I never would have been to otherwise.
Was there a role you wanted that you didn't get?
Oh, I don't think so. I think I've been pretty lucky in my choices. I don't make too many choices. Somebody offers me something and I just say yes or no. And usually I say yes. I don't turn down a whole lot.
I know you love horses. So
Yep.
What was the best horse you ever owned? And do you remember what kind it was and color?
The best horse. I maybe as a cutting horse, a horse by the name of Red Quill 6. He was a good cutting horse, but he was otherwise a little cranky and a little hard to get along with. My favorite horse, I had two. One was my first cutting horse, Smitty the Kid. I had him the longest. He was we were together from I think 1991 until about 15 years till he died. And then I had another one, a Palomino mare by the name of Misty, and she was sort of she was not the greatest horse in the world, but we had a mental. We were almost like extrasensory perception. She knew what I was feeling, and she got me through a divorce and got me through a bunch of stuff that whenever I was feeling frustrated, I'd saddle her up. And if I was feeling particularly frustrated, she'd try to throw me off. She'd start bucking. And that kind of calmed me down. Yeah. Yeah, she was she's a real nice horse. She never did it to children or women or anybody else. You know, she was perfectly calm with them. But if I was in a bad mood, she'd get me out of it.
It's time for the back half with Barry Corbin Beyond the Mic. You almost lost your famous voice due to cancer. How did that experience change the way you see yourself and your career?
Oh, I don't know if it changed anything. It's they told me that there was an off chance that I might not be able to speak or my voice might be changed or something. And that kind of worried me, but not unduly. I had pretty good faith in the doctors. I've had pretty good luck with doctors. The ones that when I've needed them, they've been there and they've done excellent jobs. So I'm still. They say when you have cancer, when you're diagnosed with cancer, you're a patient for life. So I still go in about every 3 months to get checked.
And you're still cancer-free?
So far, everything's good.
Outstanding. If you're enjoying these conversations, please check out another Beyond the Mic episode to find more actors, artists, and people you need to know. We'd also appreciate a like and subscribe on the Good Pods app. What does it mean for you to be recognized, loved, and cherished after all these years?
Well, it's sometimes it's a surprise if somebody meets me and starts crying. You know, that surprises me. I think I've done something wrong. But they're not crying because they're sad. They're crying because they're happy. And I don't know. I don't think of myself as anything but me, you know. And it still surprises me a little bit when somebody treats me like a celebrity. I don't feel any different really than I did when I was struggling to start a career.
You've been working since the 1960s. What was the one role that didn't get the critical acclaim that it should have?
Well, I've always had good reaction from both the media and the fans. Now, that one woman I believe it was in Detroit, I was doing a tour for war games, and the woman said, you played this general, and he was so mean and rough and not very well educated, and how did you feel about playing that? I said, well, if I left that impression, then I was a failure, because he was the smartest man in the movie.
Exactly.
It kept us from being nuked, and anyhow, no, I feel like, any character you play, you've got to have a kinship with. If I play a murderer, I've got to think about sometime that I might have wanted to maybe murder somebody, but I can't think of anything like that. So I think about a fly annoying me to the point that I swat it. That's you gotta bring something back to your experience rather than go kill somebody to know what it feels like. You don't want to do that.
There are plenty of stories you've told from your work as an actor, but what's your favorite memory as being a dad?
As being a dad, there's great moments every day, and each one of your kids is different, and my kids don't much appreciate this, but it's raising the kids pretty much like training a horse. You got to make them think it's his idea, and sometimes that's kind of hard to do. I've had most of my kids are real easy to deal with. Now, my youngest son went through a rough patch, and he's got 2 kids of his own, and is a great father, and I'm very proud of him. But he went through some rough patches, and I've had to kind of ear him down once in a while.
Who is the one actor who has a special place in your heart?
Well, there's so many of them. Some are friends. Ben Johnson, for example, I was always a big fan of his when I was a kid, watching him in the John Ford movies, because he was one of the few that could ride a horse. And I admired that, and I admired him, and finally we got to know each other, and we became pretty close toward the end of his life. And I've got a picture he signed for me, said, to the best actor in Hollywood outside of me, keep up the good work, Barry Corbin. Your friend, Ben Johnson. So I'm proud of that, because he was what he was. He didn't try to put on any airs, never tried to be anything else, and won world championship buckle and saddle, and an Academy Award. He's the only guy that did that. So, he's got a pretty big place in my heart.
What's your best memory of seeing Waylon and Buddy?
Well, it was, I didn't know Waylon sang until I saw him open for Elvis, when Elvis was on the way to Hollywood to do Love Me Tender.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know he was a musician. I just thought he was a guy from Brownfield. at the time he was working at KLLL. He had a pompadour like Elvis, and a whole bunch of Brill cream on his hair. He just was a guy from outside of Lubbock, Buddy Holly, I saw Buddy several times in concert, and I liked him, and I admired him, and I heard those early records he did with Norman Petty, and I liked those, but I didn't know anybody outside Lubbock knew who he was.
It's time for One Big Question with Barry Corbin. Beyond the Mic. Barry, how do you want people to remember you?
Well, remember me as maybe being a little bit helpful. Maybe after I'm gone, maybe they can remember that I maybe left the world a little bit better. Because, we all leave it a little bit better or a little bit worse. We're not going to do a big thing unless we're Hitler or Attila the Hun or Jesus or something. But we're going to leave some little ripple, and I'd like for my ripple to be that I did good.
When people come see you, hear your stories, what do you want them to take away from the experience?
Well, I want them to have fun, and that's the main thing. Just come in, and we're gonna have a fun evening. It's gonna be a party. This isn't some kind of a stodgy deal where we got to sit and listen to some lecture or something. We're not going to do that. I'm not going to talk about morality or religion or politics. I'm going to talk about just old things that we did back in the days before television and the internet took over our lives, and we'll just have a big time.
Do cowboys still have the power today that they used to have when you were growing up?
Well, we think about those times as simpler times. Well, they weren't. All the conflicts were hidden back in the 50s and 60s. Well, not so much in the 60s and 70s, but in the 50s, it was we had some things that were, everybody was afraid of the communists back then. So everybody got something that they're worried about.
Back in the days when I was growing up, we played cowboys and Indians.
Well, that's what we did too. Back in the 40s, we played war because war was going on, and we played cowboys and Indians. And back in those days, it was a very simple thing. The cowboy was a guy who came in alone and took care of all the adversity in the area. Although he had adversity himself, he had to overcome the bad guys, but we knew he was going to do it. Now we don't know that. Now we think, well, it could go either way, and which is in a way that's a good thing because that's really the way life is.
But back in those days, good guys wore white hats and bad guys wore black hats.
Yeah, and you knew who it was, unless it's Hopalong Cassidy. He wore a black hat, but he was a little different because he is a gray-headed grandfather.
He doesn't work for Hollywood. He works for the people.
Yeah.
Thinks Americans' mythology is based on the cowboys. Actor, dad, and friend, Barry Corbin, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today.
Well, thank you, and it was a pleasure. And anybody in the surrounding area, if you're over in Idalou or Brownfield or somewhere, come on in to Lubbock and see the show. You'll enjoy it.
And that, my friends, is Beyond the Mic.